Hey, what's good, YouTube? This is Chris Hendricks back with another video. So today I asked my followers on Instagram which pairs to analyze. So they showed me like a few pairs that I should look at, and yeah, let's get to it. So the first one is nasdaq, right? So we're gonna jump straight into it. And keep in mind, some of these pairs they don't really have like good setups, but I'll just try my best to go through them. So the first one that we have here is nasdaq, right? So we're gonna scale down to maybe the 4-hour time frame and see if we have something we can work with. So remember, the first thing that you need to do analyzing a chart, you need to spot out your highs, your lows. And so currently this is our high right there. This was our previous low, which looks like we broke it, but it seems like the price is going back inside. So now we can focus what's happening between these two horizontal lines, right? So let's scale down to the 2-hour time frame and see what we have. So the second thing that you need to do after spotting your highs and lows, you need to figure out your structure. So from the previous low, the price went up correctively, giving us this nice structure. So I'm gonna draw my resistance as well. So you can see we had the price selling, giving us this 90% rule. The 90% being your take profit. So there were a few setups. I had them in the previous videos, the two previous videos. You guys can check that out. So it's quite simple. With this big structure, we had 1, 2, 3 touches. I'm gonna count this as a touch. So we had 3 touches, meaning third touch has the highest probability. So you could have sold right there to the downside. And we also had another structure in the lower time frame. So you can see that from our resistance, the price went down and then it started correcting, right? With that correction, you need to figure out your structure once again. So you could have drawn your support right there, but it's not really necessary, and your resistance, right? So you can see the price corrects, giving us 3 touches on the resistance, because in the case of a sell, you focus on the resistance. In the case of a buy, that's where you're going to focus on the support. So we had 3 touches on our resistance, third touch being the highest probability, so you could have sold right there to the downside, right? That was the first setup. And then the second setup, remember the market moves in 2 phases, which is an impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, and so on. So we had this nice impulse to the downside from our entry point, and then the price started correcting right there, right? This part being our 90% rule of this small structure. So you could have drawn your resistance, your support as well, but it's not really necessary. And then start counting your touches. We have 1, 2, 3 touches. Third touch being the highest probability. So you sell at the third touch to the downside, right? All the way to the 90% rule, which we basically got there. And that was the third setup. I'm just quickly going to erase that. So currently we have this double bottom. It looks like the price broke, which could mean either two things. Remember, a correction, we have two types of corrections. A correction that is more flat, giving us a continuation to the downside, or a correction that is a reversal, right? It is more vertical, meaning the price is going to reverse, going back to where it's coming from. So we need to figure out what we have here. We can draw our support. Remember, when we are dealing with buys, we focus more on the support. And then when we are dealing with sells, we focus more on the resistance. So we quickly draw our trend lines. So it looks like we have a reversal correction since we are at the previous low, meaning we could respect it and the price reverses and goes for a buy, right? Just like that. But it also could be a false reversal and the price could sell. So we need to figure out how we're going to enter it for a buy. So what you need to do is, since we already have 3 touches at our support, this being our first, this being our second, and this shaded area being our third touch, which gives us the highest probability. So if you are a risk trader, you could basically enter right now and scale up to the upside, right? Or you could just simply wait for the price to give you a clear impulse to the upside, maybe break out of this structure, out of this correction right here, break out, and then the price, let the price give you a nice continuation correction to the upside, and that's where you can base your entry at and just buy safely, right? So you could wait for this formation to complete, an impulse from the low, breaking this resistance, followed by a correction, which is going to continue to the upside. So this is basically what's happening with NASDAQ. It's actually at a great level because, hold on, let me just take a quick screenshot. Okay, so it's actually at a great level for a buy. But then say if it doesn't break out of this structure and it actually tries to break this previous low, it means the price, once it gets to this resistance right here, it's probably going to reject at those levels to the downside, right? So, but then it's more of a risk. But if it does, and you still want to get a setup from NASDAQ, you could wait for the price to get to that resistance, basically like this, and then wait for the price to reject once it touches the trend line to the downside. But I'm watching more for the buy setup than this sell setup, right? So that is what we have with NASDAQ. Nothing really complicated. Very simple. Let me just quickly take a screenshot of that. And yeah, so basically if the price gives you an impulse, breaks this resistance, gives you an impulse, by breaking that resistance and then giving you a nice correction right there. Feel very comfortable to buy at that point. So that is it with nasdaq. The second pair that I'm gonna look at is oil. Let's see what we have with oil. So I'm just gonna go back up to the 3-hour time frame and try to see what's actually happening, right? Okay, let me go up to the 4-hour time frame. So with this one, it's really choppy. It's going sideways a lot. So our structures might not really be that effective. So we're just going to focus on the very current market, forgetting our lows and highs. So this one, the setup actually already happened. As you can see, this is a huge buy. How could you have caught the buy? You can see right here we have a nice correction going sideways, meaning it's a continuation correction since the price is coming from the bottom, giving us this huge impulse, and then the price starts correcting, meaning it continued, right? So you would have had your resistance right there and then your support right here. So you could have either used the trend line or this rectangle right there. Then you start counting your touches. We have 1, 2, and the last touch, which is the third touch. Third touch being the highest probability, meaning that's where you base your trade off. So what you need to see at your third touch is the price starting to lose momentum and changing direction. So what I mean by that, you see these huge candlesticks. The last selling candlestick was very small, which means the momentum to the downside is losing strength. And this basically is a reversal candlestick, right? So you need to focus on the upcoming candlesticks. What happened right after this reversal candlestick? We had a huge candlestick to the upside, right? And then the second candlestick was way more massive, and it has no wicks at the downside of it, which tells you that it has very much it has a lot of momentum to the upside. So that's, you could have entered right after the opening of the third candlestick, which is that point, scale up and have your take profit wherever. Usually you would set your take profit based on the previous momentum, which is, let me just do that. So you would have this kind of movement. So this is the setup with oil. Very simple. We didn't have to draw our lows and our highs, figure out the structure. This was a plain, simple impulse correction. Trade the correction to the upside. Very simple. Okay, cool. Let me just take a screenshot. Hold on. So that is it with gold. Oil. So the next pair that they requested is GBP USD. Let's see if we have something interesting, anything interesting. Okay, we're gonna kick it off in the daily. So you can see we've been having this uptrend, and we actually had quite a few nice corrections, as you can see from this point with this nice impulse, very aggressive, and the price went sideways right there, meaning you could have figured out, okay, this is a correction, drawing your support and your resistance right there. Remember, when we're dealing with buys, we focus more on the support. So I'm going to scale down to the 4-hour time frame so we can count on the number of touches on our support. Hold on. Okay, that's fine. So you can see we actually have 3 touches. 1, 2, and this area being our 3rd touch, which is the highest probability. So you could have waited for reversals right there. So if we zoom in, you can actually see the bearish candlesticks lost so much momentum right there. It started becoming smaller and smaller, giving us these nice reversal candlesticks right there, and followed by a change of direction by these bullish candlesticks. So we're in the 4-hour time frame. You could have waited for at least, since these candlesticks are very small, they don't really show a lot of momentum, you could have waited for the price to give you more candlesticks that shows you momentum. What I mean by that is, you can see as the price was playing out, these bullish candlesticks started growing bigger and bigger, from small to big right here. And if bullish candlesticks happen in a row consecutively, that really shows you, okay, the price is going in that direction. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive bullish candlesticks, and the last one, the 5th one, was way bigger than the previous ones. So it confirms that yes, we have reversed and the price has changed. So you could have entered at the opening of this right after the 5th one, which is that point. So you scale up to the previous high, which is this point, since this is a very huge setup in a big time frame. But you could have also exceeded that high going up, right, since it's the continuation correction, right? And that was the very first setup. So let me just quickly take a screenshot. And as the price played out, it actually reached a level where it couldn't pass. So let me just grab a horizontal line instead of the horizontal ray, so we can see where it was respecting. So it respected this area right here, which is okay. Now from that point, we actually went to see a huge impulse to the downside, which was this impulse right here. And then the price started correcting right here, right? Remember, impulse, correction, impulse, right? So since we spotted that this is our correction right here, we need to figure out the resistance and the support about correction, and then start counting the number of touches that we have. So same rules: first touch, second touch, and then third one, highest probability. You zoom in. So let me just go to the 3-hour time frame. So you can see the last bullish candlestick was very small, showing you that the bullish momentum is losing. And now we have bearish candlesticks forming, right? So you could have entered at the opening of the third candlestick, which is that point to the downside, right? And then you just scale down. You scale down to the previous low, which is this point. So that could have been your take profit. Just like that. Let me just take a screenshot. I'm going to go back to the 4-hour time frame because I need to post these on Instagram. Screenshot right there. So currently the price is just running down, right? It's running down. So what could happen is it could reach this low like that, then gives you some kind of continuation correction to keep going down until this major low right here, right? Or the price could reach our support and then go back up. So it could happen either ways. So you just need to focus on how the price behaves once it reaches these areas right there. But currently there's really nothing eye-catching with this one. As you can see, we missed this correction as well right here, this one as well. So we missed a few setups that we could have taken. If you guys really want to see, you can see the price was correcting within these blocks, right? Correction, and then just keep trickling down. So that is basically what's been happening with GBP USD. So let's move on. Going back to the 4-hour time frame, let me erase everything. 4-hour time frame. Okay, let's go to the daily. Let's see significant levels. So you can see the price turn right there. So if we draw our resistance, you can see it was respecting this one right here. And how did it get to this resistance? The price got there correctively. So our structure would look like this. And remember the two types of corrections: continuation and reversal. So this one is a reversal. It's an example of a reversal correction. We have 3 touches on our resistance. Remember, never forget, when we sell, we focus on the resistance, and when we buy, we focus on the support. So in this case, we're focusing on the resistance. That's why I'm only counting the number of touches on the resistance. So third touch has the highest probability. If we look at the third touch, you can see we had this reversal candlestick right there in the daily, and the following candlestick was also bearish. So you could have opened at the opening of the third candlestick to the downside, right? Just like that, all the way to the 90% rule, which is this point. We reached, and it seems like the price is kind of like rejecting from it. So this is the setup that we have with Euro USD. Take a screenshot. So let's just zoom in to see whether we had smaller corrections within. So it doesn't really look like we had anything interesting besides this correction right there and this one right there. So let's look at them in the 1 hour time frame. So with this first one, let me just make this a bit lighter. So with this first one, you can see we had our support right there. And then we can draw a resistance. So same thing applies. We have this as our first touch, second touch, third touch has probability. So you take your trade right there to the downside, right? And then same thing applies with this one. We have our support, resistance, and how many touches do we have? Where this is our first, second touch, third touch, we sell at the third touch to the downside, right? So it's just a repetition of what the price gives you almost every single time. Right, took a screenshot. So yeah, that is it with Euro USD. I'm basically speed running through these pairs, bro. But yeah, the price could keep selling, and it'll come a point where it actually gives you this huge correction to the downside, right? So if I go back to the daily time frame, we could have that huge correction where the price is gonna go back within these areas right here. Could go back to reach this low once again before it buying again, right? So that is basically it with Euro USD. And the next pair, we have the dollar against the South African rand. Yeah, this one is a bit interesting. Upwards movement, uptrend. You can see we actually broke this previous high just ever so slightly, and then the price went back inside it. And if we zoom in to the 4 hour time frame, hold on, you can see this is a clear breakout right here. That's a clear breakout, meaning this resistance might not be respected even though the price went back inside it. Because what we have here, from this low, the price gave us an impulse to the upside, right? And currently what we have a nice correction right there, meaning the price could go up. So what you need to do is figure out the support, which is basically this. So with this one, we had this as our first touch, second touch, and the price hasn't really touched for the third time. So we can't really take a trade, even though if you argue that this is also Sorry, you could also argue that, okay, since it didn't give us this touch right here, this is the reason why, because we also had a smaller correction within this 4-hour correction where it actually gave us 3 touches. This is our first touch, second touch, and third one, and that's where you could have entered for a buy right there, just like that. Let me erase this. So you could argue that this is the setup, but the price can always come back to this support for an actual third touch, and then it gives you the huge buy. But you could have taken the setup and then just have your take profits right there, and then just get out and then see what the price, how the price behaves right there, because it could give you, it could break out and then give you a small correction to keep going to the upside, or the price could just reject right there, come back down for a nice 1 to 3 touch on the main correction, and the price could go like that, right? So either way, this is a good buy actually. So let's just move on. Going to the 4-hour time frame with this one. Okay, let's look at the daily. Sorry. Yeah, I'm taking my drinking break. Drinking juice, by the way, because I know most of you guys probably clicked out the video, but if you guys reached this point, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We're probably like 30 minutes in. So if you like this video so far, just make sure you like, leave a comment or reply to it, I promise. And if you haven't subscribed, just make sure you do so. Okay, let's keep going. One thing I don't like about currencies is that, hey, you need to go up in the daily time frames, and then the movement just takes so long, right? But you could argue that this is our low, and here we have our high, right? And what do we have right here? Correction. So this means the price could continue going up to this resistance or high, right? So what you need to do is figure out this correction that we currently have by drawing a nice resistance right there and a nice support right there. So you can see that we don't have clear touches. We can argue that this is our first touch and this is our second touch. But we don't have a third touch, and we can't really count this as our middle touch, then making this our third one, because it's in the daily time frame, and this space right here is very huge when we actually go down to the smaller time frames. So this means the price could sell back to our trend line, giving us a proper third touch, and then continue going up. So with that information, let's go down to the 4-hour time frame and see what we have. Sorry. So you can see this is a nice impulse to the downside. And then right now the price is kind of correcting, but it doesn't look good to me. It doesn't really look good. This could happen to the downside. So with this one, it's just a matter of really waiting for it. Just wait for it to play out, because it could also mean the price going back up. Okay, hold on, let me just take a screenshot. It's fine. So with this one, it's just a matter of waiting. Really nothing interesting. Okay, let's move on with CAD JPY in the daily time frame. Sorry about that. So we are in the daily time frame, right? What you need to do is spot your low, get your high. So you can see the price is actually reaching or trying to break this high. So let's go down to the 4-hour time frame and see what we have. Guys, I don't get it. I don't understand why you would ask me to analyze CAD JPY, because there's really nothing interesting with this one. But you could argue that price is going to continue going up, because it's basically just correcting, going up, right? And it looks like it's really going to break this resistance. So, amen. You just wait for something solid to play out or to form with this one. And the next pair that they asked me to analyze is USDT. Okay, let me just erase everything that I already did. So you can see major support right here. And obviously you have your resistance. So if we focus on what's happening in the middle, you can actually see here we had this nice correction. The price was just going sideways. So remember, we have an impulse, correction, impulse. That is exactly what we have right here. Okay, so let's just zoom in and see. So you could have your support right there. Nice support. Then draw your resistance right there. So you can see we actually have 3 touches as well. First touch, second touch, third touch has probability. So right there. And simple, just like that. And looks like we also have this significant level that we obviously broke. So what could happen from where it is, we could get a nice correction to complete this sell all the way to the main support, right? So that is basically it with USDT as well, because we missed a nice sell right there all the way down. But yeah, that is it, man, because I don't really see nice entry points where it is currently. Because if you are forcing setups where it is currently, if you want to sell or buy, you would just be risking a lot. I won't lie, you'll be risking a lot. So let me do gold as well. Hold on. perfect one. Okay, cool. Let me erase everything that I have. We're in the 3-hour time frame. Main support right there. And looks like the price is just moving downwards, right? Which means we must look for selling opportunities, but it seems like we missed it because this huge drop, massive, I tell you. How could we have caught the huge drop? Could have drawn your support right there and figured out that there's an impulse to the downside followed by this correction. So it's going to continue going down. So you draw your resistance and you can see that we have 3 touches, this being our first, second, and third. Third touch, highest probability. So you focus on the third touch, and what do we see at the third touch? This huge reversal candlestick right there, followed by selling candlesticks with no wicks on top, which shows you that it has momentum to the downside. So you could have opened, or you could have actually went down to the 2-hour time frame and then place your trade at the opening of the third candlestick, placing your stop loss right above the highest point, and then you just scale down, right? 90% rule reached, past it. So this is it with gold. Really, there's no current entry point. Seems like we missed it. Let's just go to the 30-minute time frame and see maybe if we had another opportunity. So you can see from the third touch with this huge impulse, and then here we have this nice correction, right? So how could you have drawn the parameters of the correction? Take your resistance, connect all those touches, and you can also do the support as well, but we focus more on the resistance in the case of a sell. Count the number of touches that we have. We have 1, 2, 3, right? Third touch being the highest probability, so you could have sold right there. And what happened? The price just took off. I won't lie, the price just So this is the setup with gold. Yeah, looks okay. Very powerful sell, especially from this correction right here, in case you missed this first entry point. Very powerful to the downside. What's going to happen next? The price could just keep selling all the way to this main support, and it doesn't mean it's going to go straight down. It could give you another correction to the downside, giving you another opportunity to sell actually, right? Just like that. Take a screenshot. So that's one possibility. Or the price can respect the trend line and then just buy from this point. And then when it buys, it's going to give you an impulse followed by a correction to the upside. So you just need to check what the price does, how it behaves. Yeah, that is it with gold. Let me do German 30, even though it's gonna be very similar to USD, right? So with this one, you can see all the setups that I had. Those are all the setups that I had, but currently there's really nothing interesting. So I'm just gonna move on to AUD Still nothing interesting. So let me just scan through. I don't really like trading currencies actually, because the movements are just so ugly, bro. They're always ugly. So this is a very good example of a reversal correction. This huge structure is a reversal correction. As you can see, the price from going up to changing direction, going down. Very nice. Yeah, as I was saying with indices, I mean, currencies that are really not that interesting. They take so much time to play out. You can wait for days, weeks, unfortunately months as well. So I'm more focused on the quick ones: nasdaq, Usdt, German date. It's cool. Euros are very simple. So this is a prime example of the price not respecting a level, right? So you could have adjusted this to the, as you can see, it still broke out. So very ugly, very terrible. Okay, what do we have here? Euro AUD. I'm gonna go to the daily, see if we have previous highs that we are respecting. Okay, seems like it. And how did the price reach this level? Got there correctively. So you could have argued that it's basically like that, even though the price is piercing through right there. Draw your support as well. And then, hold on, let me try to connect it to something else. Okay, no, it doesn't work. So I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. And from our third highs, the price went down just like that, corrected, impulse. Now we're at this nice correction. So with this correction, you can see it's very flat, so you can just use your rectangle right there. And I'm gonna scale down to the 2-hour time frame. Sorry. So you can see we had this as well, and this too. So it's basically head and shoulders. Head and shoulders right there. But it's still going sideways, right? It's still correcting, meaning the price could either go back to this high before selling off, right? So much can happen, bro. So much can happen. You shouldn't always look at one possibility. So many things could happen, and you can show your resistance like that. So if it does break this, it will have to break this trend line as well. So let me just remove this. So yeah, that is it with Euro AUD. Nothing really interesting. Euro CAD, same thing. It's at a point where we wouldn't find any entry points. Euro JPY, very choppy. It's going sideways. It's just correcting. So there's not really anything that I would like with it. Euro NSD, seems like we missed all the entry points. Okay, guys, if you want me to analyze a pair that you want, the one that you're looking at, you should follow me on Manando the Goat Setups on Instagram. I always leave this question stickers for you guys to insert your pairs that you would like me to analyze, and then yeah, next thing you'll just see your pair that you picked on the upcoming video. So just make sure you go to Instagram, follow Manalo the Goat Setups, and just watch out for my stories. I don't really post that many stories. The only time I post stories is when I am promoting a video that I just dropped, and just asking you guys which pair that I'm gonna analyze, basically, right? So that will wrap up today's video. If any of you guys reached this point, just know that I'm very thankful, grateful for giving me almost an hour of your time out of the day to support our videos, basically. So just make sure you like, comment, and hopefully subscribe. Yeah, until the next video.